A Glenn Davis home run in the 6th made the score 3-2, but that's where it stayed, folks. The Astros take on the Giants again tonight at 9:35.
Cincinnati Reds manager Pete Rose is turning the tide in the case involving his gambling allegations. Rose is now taking the baseball commissioner to court. Frank Courier has more.
Lawyers for Pete Rose and for Major League Baseball will square off in an Ohio courtroom this morning, acting on a civil lawsuit filed by the Cincinnati Reds manager.
You tell us something about the lawsuit, Mr. Rose?
No, I can't.
Pete Rose and his lawyers don't seem to want to come to my hearing on the merits. This is really predictable.
Rose attorneys want Giamatti removed from the case with a restraining order blocking next Monday's hearing, when Rose must face Giamatti to answer gambling allegations, specifically that he bet on baseball, including the Reds. Rose's lawsuit says the commissioner has displayed bias and outrageous conduct, calling his investigative report on Rose error-ridden and full of false accusations. Rose attorneys accuse baseball of bolstering the credibility of 2 convicted felons, his chief accusers. Paul Jensen, they say, tried to blackmail Rose. The former bodybuilder claims he phoned in most of Rose's bets, that Rose still owes him $40,000. Ron Peters, they say, in exchange for a lighter sentence on a drug conviction, told baseball he was Rose's chief bookie, that Rose bet regularly on the Reds. In an exclusive interview with CBS News, Peters says Rose bet up to $20,000 a day on ball games and always on the Reds.
He always bet on his team. He never bet against his team.
Were there days that Rose didn't bet on the Reds?
Well, if he called, he bet on the Reds every time that I can remember. There was times he didn't call, but when he called, he bet on.
And Peters showed investigators stacks of betting slips to prove it, evidence that Rose lawyers say was in part altered. The Reds manager could be suspended for a year for betting on baseball, banned for life for wagering on the Reds. A judge this morning will be asked to rule on whether Giamatti or a courtroom jury should be the one to decide. Frank Courier, CBS News, Chicago.
Most folks look forward to the day when the kids are finally out of the house and on their own. Those golden retirement years mean a chance to relax and travel. But in today's segment of On Your Mind from West Oaks Mental Health Services, Dr. Barbara Mara tells us why the transition to retirement isn't always so smooth.
I don't know about you, but I'm looking forward to my retirement years when I can put my feet up and finally read all these books I've been saving for years. So why is it that some people feel that they're left in an empty house with little to do with their time? All of a sudden, those so-called golden years don't seem so wonderful. But don't despair. A lot of people have a difficult time adjusting to this new lifestyle. And it is a new way of living. You and your mate suddenly have a lot of time on your hands. The children that depended on you for years are adults themselves, with children of their own to care for. The days, as well as the house, could begin to feel empty and lonely. Some people may even develop psychosomatic illnesses. You may feel ill, but there's really nothing physically wrong. There might be a lot of stress right now brought on by your feelings of emptiness and loneliness. Now might be a very good time to think about restructuring your lifestyle. Look for other people your own age. Find a hobby you enjoy. Don't start a lot of projects that will never be finished. Be selective. Check with the local hospitals and other agencies about doing volunteer work. They'll appreciate the time you have to give, and you may find yourself needed once again. You'll even find you have something to talk about when the kids drop in for a visit. If you haven't reached retirement yet, it's a good time to start thinking about it. Set goals. Take up a sport. And make some plans that you can look forward to. Your golden years are what you make of them. I'm Dr. Barbara Mara, and join us again when we look into what's on your mind.
Well, there's a new warning for jet ski riders. The water bikes may be fun and fast, but they can also be dangerous. In Florida this year, 3 people have been killed in jet ski accidents. The Florida legislature has now voted to set a minimum age of 14 for jet ski riders. Other states are expected to follow Florida's lead.
Still ahead, we'll meet a man who does his work soaring through the air. Also, some kids grow up with a nursery rhyme. This little piggy went to market. This little piggy stayed home. Now, some families may actually have a little piggy of their own. Stay with us.
If someone you love needs help, call Directions Mental Health Services, 777-7100.
The Dodge Caravan is America's favorite minivan, and they've been going fast. But your Houston Metro Dodge dealer still has the Caravan you're looking for at a low, low price. Choose from a great selection and get a super deal on the most popular minivan in America. So what are you waiting for? If you're looking for a lot of van at a little price, hurry over to your Houston Metro Dodge dealer today.
The new spirit of Dodge. The new spirit of Dodge.
Enter a world beyond imagination. A private fantasy filled with magical sights and sensational surroundings. An elegant retreat where you and your guests can dine, drink, dance, and be dazzled by world-class magicians. Enter the world of Magic Island. It's no longer an illusion, it's a reality. A magical experience you deserve to be part of.
The wind brought the clouds. The clouds brought the rain. The mountain made the water pure. The pure water flows from our mountain springs as it has for thousands of years. And that's where Ozarka spring water comes from.
Be sure to join Steve Smith and Marlene McClinton for 11 News at 5. We'll have more on the new report that shows Harris County ranks second in the nation for areas affected by toxins released in the air. Also, more on the New York Yankee baseball player taken to court by his former live-in girlfriend right here in Houston. These stories and much more coming up at 5.
Some of the folks our Ray Miller encounters hold jobs that are out of the ordinary. We're going to meet one of them now on today's trip to Ray Miller's Texas.
Everything I see through the Newton Ring site is exactly what the video and the still cameras see.
Tony Loper built this rig himself, and he uses it a lot to make pictures of friends jumping out of airplanes.
I'll be hanging from the doorwell right here.
The people Tony hangs out with when he is not working as a computer technician are skydivers. These people hire pilots to fly them up to about 14,000 feet.
Then they're going to come crawling out of the doorway. At that point, they'll give the ready, set, go. Ready, set, go. And I will catch their exit as they come out of the aircraft.
And he dives right behind them to record their maneuvers.
It's timed. Every particular person has to do their job. And when the formation is actually complete, they go to the next point.
This is a competitive sport.
They grade you on time and point performance.
Tony's video is sometimes used in the actual judging of competitions. That is not what he had in mind when he started doing this. A friend was having trouble getting his maneuvers right and couldn't understand what he was doing wrong.
People would come down and tell him, but he couldn't visualize what they were saying.
That gave Tony the idea to mount a video camera on his head.
Went up and I shot him skydiving and helped him learn how to skydive. And then from there, I just kind of work onwards to other students and other people.
The other divers are usually anxious to look at Tony's tapes to see what they did right or wrong.
There's a lost grip there, so had to fly back into it and reform it. We couldn't go on until that grip was made.
Tony was a veteran skydiver before he started making pictures, and now he's a veteran skydiving photographer.
About 1,000 camera jumps.
It began as a hobby, but Tony has made a part-time business of it. He calls himself the Electric Shadow, and it's no exaggeration. This is Texas, and I'm Ray Miller.
Boy, that looks like fun. Like everything else, the pet business has its share of fads. Now there is a brand new animal that's set to take off in the pet-owning public. Ann McDermott reports from where else? Southern California.
When it comes to dogs, Sparky's a pretty good one. But face it, canines are common. For a pet with pizzazz, how about a porker? This is not just any pig. This is a Chinese potbelly. These miniature mammals are clean, flealess, and fun. They aren't as hoggish as their American cousins either. The most these potbellies will ever weigh is 150 pounds, which is not a lot of bacon.
You'll notice that she has a very large tummy, a very large throat and jowls, but her hams aren't as big as a decent pork chop.
They're pretty obedient. Well, sort of obedient. Lori Blackburn has had her share of run-ins with Piggy Sue.
If we both agree on what she wants to do, she's really good about it.
If we disagree, then we can have some pretty big arguments.
Still, this little piggy was taught the fine art of housebreaking in just 3 weeks. About the only thing these porkers are messy at is drinking and eating. Generally, potbellies will come when you call.
That's right, Hamlet. Baby pig. Baby pig, good girl.
And they are good with children. Don't let the look on his face fool you. They will sit and they will fetch. Okay, so they won't fetch as fast as Sparky, but at least the pigs will give up what they fetch. By now, you're probably asking yourself, how can I, too, be a pot-bellied pig owner? The answer? With money. Well, if this little piggy went to market, it would bring about $6,500. Of course, Sparky, who came from the pound, didn't cost a dime, and he is cute. But how do you resist a face like this? Ann McDermott, Orange, California.
$6,500, yes.
For a pig?
For a little pig, too. That's more expensive than the fish that Steve and I try to catch out in the Gulf and spend all the money on.
I know it. You guys ought to give up and just go to the store, by the way.
It's too easy that way. That's our newscast for now.
We thank you for joining us. We'll be back tonight at 6. Be sure to join Steve and Marlene at 5. Have a good afternoon.